am very tired, Warpugs. I'm the kind of tired that you get when like you're just busted down. So I woke up today and within 15 minutes of me being awake, I got on the road. And like after I got off the road, I walked in here, sat down, put the live stream notification up. I had no intention of live streaming today. I had no intention. But I was sitting there, I was like, you know, I just want to put something out there because today is a special day for me. Today is a very special day for me. For one reason. Not only is the fact this is my second official day of vacation, but today, 15 years ago, I got out of the military. Like today, 15 years ago, I got out of the military. So it's kind of a special day for me. It's kind of a special day. Clanker, what's going on, bud? Ronnie's here. Son of Horus Legionnaire is here, and Corey is here. I see a whole bunch of other people are piling in. But, yeah, like today, 15 years ago, is when my process out day was from the Navy. And I got a mixture of a lot of things with it, but a lot of, like, there's a lot of pride, a little bit of sadness. It is just the way these kind of things are. But, I know this is a little bit too late for Vox. So what I'm thinking about doing is tomorrow I'm going to live stream a lot earlier, so Vox can join in. Alfarius, Mello, what's going on? So it's like I know this is last minute. Normally I like to get things put out about 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. That's when I like to have things put out. Doesn't necessarily mean they're going to be put out that time, but I like to have them put out about that time. But oh my goodness, today was just a long day. I drove from where I live up to Detroit and back in one day. And I am just... Alfarius, come on, man. Rating thumbs. What? I was not... yeah, I was a... no. Okay, I wasn't a squid. A squid is, Submariner. I was not a Submariner. Like, look, I actually hunted the people that, decide to get on a boat that voluntarily sinks. That was my job. Among other things. But, yeah, it was a long... This feels like an eternity ago. It feels like an eternity ago, and yet it feels like last week sometimes. It really does. But, we're going to be in here. We're going to be watching GEIST X Machina. Now, this is a story about Chaos Knights. And this is also a story about how we're going to nuke Alfarius for the first comment being about something being breedable. Of course, I've got to nuke Alfarius for this. Again, X in chat to nuke Alfarius. Computer not working on your cell phone? Hey, Blue Lick, what's going on with your computer, bud? My drive should have taken me 10 hours. It took me 12. And I was already not looking forward to a 12-hour drive, to a 10-hour drive, so you can imagine how I'm feeling about 12. So, when I get done here, I'm going to be going back, I'm going to be sitting down, I'm going to be taking a bath, all the other kind of good stuff. It's going to be nice. I got a whole bunch of stuff to do around the house. Tomorrow, though, I think I'm going to be trying to go fishing. I haven't been fishing in over a year. I think I'm going to try to go fishing. And maybe I'll be able to send you guys some pictures, some stuff like that, post some stuff. I don't know. I have no idea. It's just the way it is. We'll find out. Anthrax Crab, what's up, bud? You might get something better in the near future. Blue Lick, do this. Do this. Alright, so, GEIST X Machina. This is a story that Vox in the Void has some collaborators come in and do some stuff with him. And speaking of that, I can't wait for something to come out in the near future that I had a little bit of collaboration with somebody with. And you'll be seeing it on their channel. And I'm not saying anything else about it. because, yeah. But you might hear my voice at some point in the future. And I can't wait because I'm going to nerd out when it happens too. That's just the way it is. I heard a game called Dave the Diver. It sounds like your kind of game. What is Dave the Diver? And Alfarius, I dread to think about this. Diclonius, what's going on, bud? Hey, you know what? Diclonius asked me to check out and I'm going to talk about it before I get into the actual GEIST X Machina. Because Diclonius asked me to check out something by Death Battle, which was Lucy against Carnage. And it was amazingly interesting, but I could not upload it to YouTube. It is what? Don't send pics of fish guts unless you send them to Alfarius. Well, I already know what Alfarius is gonna say. Is it breedable? Like that's exactly what Alfarius would say, because Alfarius has a one-track mind, and that's just about it. You see any Amber King? Honestly, no. I haven't seen any Amber King whatsoever. I might have. I'm just not sure. I can't remember right off the top of my head. Do you see the video about the Emperor's D&D character having been found? Blue, no. I literally got home about 30 minutes ago, and it's been a rush ever since then. You feel like your name's been speared by other Legion agents. Well, Alfarius, that's just the way it is, bud. Speaking of which, what are your on the Dicloni? Terrifying, pretty much. I'm just saying. Alfarius, stop. Just stop. Which one of you is the real Alfarius? Guys, let's get into this. Who's ready for some GEIST X Machina? Who's ready for some GEIST X Machina? Because I know I am. This is my vacation day 2 with Vox. And I'm planning on every day this week checking out something from Vox in the Void. Because basically, hey, why not? One of my things that I said I wanted to do while I was on vacation was listen to some audio stories. I actually listened to the new Commissar Kane book today while I was driving up and back from Detroit. I actually listened to the whole thing. And I gotta tell you, it is a spectacular book. I highly recommend it. We all have a catchphrase to become Alfarius. Oh my god. Alfarius, why? Let's just go. Hey, Jacob, what's up, bud? Here we go.
War. War on every front. War at every scale.
Let the galaxy burn.
The red sands of Endymion Prime ran with blood and liquid fire. Screaming drop pods churned dust into a perpetual ashen storm, bolters for thunder, streaks of orbital fire for lightning. Brutality and death. Carcharodon Astartes emerged from the drop pods, cleaving through the chattel hordes. Each squad was a swimming thrust of dark grey armor through tearing bodies. A massacre. The Carcharodon seemed unstoppable, pushing forwards through bullets and flesh.
Hold. Allow them to overextend.
Eudipides snarled at the command, writhing in his throne mechanicum. He could feel Cerberus's impatience mingle with his own, the night abominant straining at the leash. His tail swished from side to side, his electro-scourge flexed and sparked. He itched to let loose his Volkite combustor, to drive his tusks into the hard flesh of loyalist armor.
Hold.
Is that you, Varys? No. I recognize that voice. Aegis, back once more. Malventus, or perhaps the Nameless One.
Get a hold of yourself, Dreadblade. I'm alive, not one of your ghosts.
The Red Corsair sounded impatient. Eudipides tried to remember the pirate's name, but the ghost...
Oh, good. Red Corsairs and Night Lords. I mean, Carcharodon. So that's gonna make That's going to make a great combination here.
In the machine scratched and bickered in his ear.
How many years has it been?
Euripides, you must stop. Honor...
Honor? He has no honor.
Let me out! Let me out! Let me out!
Euripides!
Euripides!
Euripides screamed a gurgling scream. He felt the aluminum of his bionics fizz and spark against the spittle of his ravaged throat.
Well, this is gonna... Okay, this is going to be good. I'm loving the way that this has been presented. So I'm loving it. I'm loving it. Spartan said he's here to be nuked, and I will oblige him. He says here to be nuked, Slanushi. X in chat to nuke the Spartan.
Shut up! Shut up!
Hold, Dreadblade.
The Carcharodons were near their position. Each squad spiraled inward, leaving behind trails of blood and gore. Hundreds of chattels died in every moment, howling as their flesh was ripped asunder and sprayed with arterial blood. Euripides could feel Cerberus's hunger. The machine spirit clawed at his mind, ached at his atrophied legs. He felt the craving desire to stretch and flex, to unleash the spring-wound tension of his flesh through beams of Volkite fire.
Let it burn. Let it burn.
Stop, Euripides. You do not want this.
What do you know of what he wants?
I said, shut up!
Hold.
Euripides could feel the eyes of the chattels upon him. 10,000 slaves wondering why he did not engage. Or maybe that was one of Cerberus's tricks. The machine often lied to get what they both wanted. His eyes rolled back white, his mind dizzying as he used 360-degree picked view across the battlefield. The Red Corsairs were a little further back. They were hidden behind the immense sand dunes and the thick red ash smog. But Cerberus's hunting optics picked them out easily enough. The knight's ion shields rippled and spat bleeding aluminum as stray rounds whipped past. The Carcharodons had not yet committed heavy weaponry to the engagement.
It is only a matter of time.
Fear the skies. The space sharks kill from the skies. Orbital bombardment.
They are too committed. It will be time soon.
Heed me, Euripides. Orbital bombardment.
Nonsense. They would not risk their own.
Let them burn.
I'm loving this.
Bombardment. Then I tell you, Euripides, I was there. I have seen this before.
And which side were you on?
Let me out!
Oh my god, I love this! Okay, so this thing, I noticed, it only has around 60,000 views. This is what happens when you're a princeps in a night. You can sometimes hear the ghosts in the machine, because this is how princeps die in most cases. They are mentally and spiritually pulled into the machine itself and become a part of the machine spirit. This would be exacerbated in a chaos night because, for the love of the Emperor, they would be sitting there going crazy hearing all the voices of the pilots past and present, of the past. Oh, this is beautiful.
Please!
Auditory data was a mess of howling blasphemies, small arms fire, and the rip of Carcharodon chain axes. Euripides instinctively processed and optimized the data, but he could hear nothing from the loyalist Astartes themselves.
They're silent. They're always silent.
Shut up.
They are not silent, fool. Their tongues are in their chains. Can you not hear them screaming?
Engage. Repeat. All Corsairs engage. Raise the Vox tirades. Attack. Kill them all. Burn. Burn. Burn.
Cerberus launched forwards, screeching savage joy as electro muscles burned with crackling aluminum. Euripides brought up the Volkite combustor. roaring as a torrent of thermal death swept across the war zone. Chattels died instantly as the beam incinerated their bones and the heat popped their eyes. The ray swept across towards a squad of Carcharodons, killing 3 before the rest broke cohesion and spread out. Eudipides eased the tension in his shoulder with a spray of his Diabolus heavy stubber, hissing with delight as a loyalist marine staggered and died beneath a hail of bullets. Cerberus flexed its tail, throwing a dozen chattels into the air, electro-scourge writhing with dark power. Eudipides growled for discipline, but his heart wasn't in it.
No.
He unleashed another Volkite beam and cackled as the air shimmered around the flame.
It is glorious. Eudipides, let me. Just this once.
Shut up, Malventus!
It is glorious.
The ghosts clamoured at him, reaching for his mind with rising insistence. Eudipides gasped, Cerberus slumping forward as he battled for control. A hunting pack of Corsair bikes zipped past, whooping insults that were lost beneath the booming percussion of their twin-linked bolters. A huge explosion ripped out a hole in the chattel horde, one loyalist helmet among the charred, burning parts. Varys! Varys! What say you?
Varys? Why talk to that old fool, Eudipides?
Cerberus lurched forwards, striking out with the electro-scourge and casting a swathe of broken bodies before it. The knight picked up speed, charging to meet the Carcharodons head-on.
I remember it all.
Stop. Eudipides, you can stop.
You can stop.
Now, just this once. I'll never ask again.
Bull.
No!
Ah!
For the God Emperor's sake.
Death to the false emperor.
Eudipides blinked back into focus. Cerberus rushed towards the enemy, but the beast had forgotten its guns, snarling. Eudipides brought up the Volkite combustor and made them a path of fire. He flexed to reload the heavy stubber on his shoulder, kicking out with a clawed boot at the first Astartes he met. The shark flew, punctured by Eudipides' talons. Another died as Cerberus's electro-scourge wrapped around their head and wrenched it free.
Oh!
Around them, Corsairs met with sharks, red against grey, staining each other with their colours. While the Corsairs laughed and taunted, the sharks were silent, even as they fell to spitting chainswords and the explosions of bolt pistols. The chattels milled, their numbers devastated, each individual cultist frothing or fighting or fleeing. It did not matter. They were just set dressing. Just terrain.
The skies, Eudipides. Here they come.
The ghost was right. Thunderhawk gunships broke the clouds, their wing fins scattering the dust. Cerberus growled as it identified threats, marking turbo laser destructors and melter warheads. In acknowledgement, Eudipides angled up his Volkite combustor, sending a thermal beam towards the closest gunship. It banked sharply, but Eudipides caught the tip of its left thruster, setting it alight and sending the ship into a plummeting tailspin. Cerberus howled as las cannons broke their ion shields, stings of pain across Eudipides' torso. "Shut up, Cerberus! You howl at pinpricks!" He fired another thermal beam, a great flare of destruction that scattered a school of Thunderhawks in every direction. Red Corsair Marines took cover among the mounds of dead. The first wave of Carcharodons had been dispatched. Eudipides wasn't sure of the strategy, but things seemed to be going well. From the cover of the sand dune, las cannon fire danced towards the sky, a pyrotechnic display of burning light. One ship was pierced by 6 beams, exploding into a ball of spectacular light as the engines detonated. In response, a flaring salvo of Hellstrike missiles transformed the dune into shattered glass, obliterating the havocs in a series of brilliant detonations.
The sharks commit too many, Eudipides. This battle cannot be won.
We have killed so many.
Eudipides!
He's right, Eudipides. Their counterattack may destroy us.
We are betrayed.
With a strangled scream,
Imagine having this in your head while you're trying to control a mech. Imagine having this in your head while you're trying to control a knight. That would be no. This is 20 pounds of no.
Eudipides drove the ghosts back into the subconscious of the machine. He fired again, missing entirely as the Thunderhawk nosedived beneath the Volkite beam and half landed, half crashed into the sands of Endymion Prime. Carcharodons charged from its forward ramp, forming 3 squads that pushed forwards like the thrusted prongs of a trident. Eudipides frowned. This cannot be betrayal. The Red Corsairs are committed too.
Unless...
The ghost's whispers were cut off by a barrage of mind-linked pain. Cerberus shrieked as his side was pierced by the force of a turbo laser destructor, left hip buckling as he fell to one knee. Screaming klaxons sounded in Eudipides' head, hypno readouts of damage searing his mind. The Thunderhawk gunship was a blur of metal as it soared overhead. Cerberus spat luminum, ignoring Eudipides' commands. The gunship began turning for another attack run.
Let me help you. I can hold its chain.
Is this the end?
Eudipides, let me help you.
May the God Emperor forgive us.
Eudipides spasmed in silent war with Cerberus and the ghosts of the machine. He gargled blood that dribbled from his mouth. His nerve fibers were aflame, even as he shut down Cerberus's whines and disconnected the machine's pain from his own. In his peripheral, he saw that the Thunderhawk had completed its turn. He bellowed mind commands, but Cerberus wasn't listening. A whimpering beast, tail tucked under its legs.
Bring full power to ion shields. We don't need maneuverability.
Power levels are draining. We should prioritize automatic repairs.
There'll be nothing left to repair if the shields aren't charged.
No.
You're both wrong! We attack! Help me with Cerberus or we die! Eudipides felt his power return as the others came to his aid. He could hear Malventa soothing Cerberus with honeyed words, Aegis seconding his own mind commands with an iron will. Cerberus groaned as it lifted its Volkite combustor towards the heavens.
Good dog. Good dog.
Wait. Don't fire without a clear shot.
Eudipides grimaced as the Thunderhawk bore down on them. It felt as if minutes passed. The Neurolink had a way of squeezing or elasticating time, his perspective overlaid with the dust of dead past, the future crumbling beneath the weight of an advancing, all-powerful present. For a moment, he heard his own ghost, a much younger man, haughty and proud, so sure of himself. But become? The boy asked. We have become death!
Now, Eudipides.
All right, hold on a second. Something interrupted there for a second, so I'm going to rewind it for a few seconds.
Younger man, haughty and proud, so sure of himself, but unburdened by
Tech Priestessor's statement, I hope the Chaos Knight perishes.
By this ever-present, compressing, furious rage. What have we become? The boy asked.
You become a sociopath. And you're suffering from multiple personality disorder. Welcome to being a night pilot for Chaos. Troy Neenan, thank you. He says, Mechanicus, my Cyberdong attachment to me. With that statement and Alfarius in the same chat, I fear for the future.
We have become death!
Now, Eudipides. Fire!
The beam of white-hot fire obliterated the Thunderhawk's armored cockpit, ceramite peeling back like blackened paper. Driven forward by the momentum of its thrusters, it streaked across the dusty sky, disappearing into the haze of kicked-up sand and oily smoke of 100 cataclysmic explosions.
Yay!
Good. But now it's my turn.
Eudipides felt himself sink into the depths of the machine. He stood in the Chamber of Echoes. The room was semicircular, guttering braziers cast strange shadows across the cold stone walls. Along the curved part of the wall, dark alcoves housed the throne's mechanicum. Foreboding, oversized chairs that seemed much too
Did they tell you that my name is Dende?
big to sit in. Half the alcoves were empty, the fallen knights remembered only by their stark absence. Eudipides stared at the 8-pointed star of chaos that hung above the alcoves. The great iron monstrosity was chained and bolted to the wall, as if it might slip its bonds at any moment. Beneath the star, Eudipides could see the ghost of an Imperial Aquila, long removed, but leaving behind a template of brighter stone. 2 half-formed, dark, cowled things waited beside him. He tried not to pay attention to them, those things that pretended to be sacristans. Those things that had no faces and shuffled awkward, disjointed steps that hinted at inhuman limbs. Maybe once they had been sacristans of House Munis, their bodies violated by demonic sorceries and cursed with eternal service. But who could tell? They certainly wouldn't. They were always silent. Silent and watching. "You approve of my becoming, then?" Eudipides said, failing to keep the question out of his voice. Grizzled mercenaries had led him here, but they had not dared enter the sanctuary of House Munis. With sideways glances to each other, they had declared it cursed, as if it was somehow different from the ruined cities with their screaming tentacled walls, or the cracked earth that bled pus and gore.
Lovely.
When the sanctuary gates opened for Eudipides, the mercenaries had scattered in abject terror. One of the false sacristans gestured towards the throne mechanicum with the canid crest, the crest of Eudipides' family line. The crest that Eudipides only knew from the pattern imprinted on his ancestral sigil ring. Eudipides stepped towards his family's throne mechanicum. His footsteps were silent, swallowed up by the dark. He was tempted to glance back towards the door, just to make sure it was still there, but he focused his mind on rash courage. "I have come all this way. From present to past I have traveled, now my future awaits."
Okay.
He sat. The false sacristans approached, half trotting, half dancing towards him. One cradled him with a warm skeletal hand, claws scratching at the mind impulse unit port surgically grafted into the back of his head. As it staggered back, the other helped Eudipides remove his shirt, exposing further impulse units that dotted his flesh in uneven patterns. Eudipides kept his eyes forward as they caressed the ports, gasping to the soft thrill of luminum that sent his muscles twitching and tensing. The false sacristans positioned him in the chair, gently guiding his head into place. They did not speak, but Eudipides knew that he was to stay still. For a moment, the creatures seemed to glance at each other, and then everything went black. The throne mechanicum activated, wires slotting into unit ports with sharp, juddering clicks.
I have returned.
No! Eudipides forced his eyes open and his mind back to the present. He saw through Cerberus's picked views, returning to the battlefield of burning shuttles and broken dead. He felt satisfaction as his Volkite combustor bored a hole in the Carcharodon's chest, the Astartes collapsing back to silent death. He walked with Cerberus's legs, but his hip was damaged, the left leg dragging along the floor and churning up red sand. It took Eudipides a few moments to realize that there was a lag between his commands and the knight's movements. His decision...
He almost got swallowed by the machine spirit there. He almost got swallowed by the machine spirit.
...were just an impotent overlay, parallel but separate from iron causation.
Eudipides!
No, Eudipides. Do not worry, it's all right. Rest. Let me handle things from here.
Eudipides' body convulsed as his mind was thrown back into the past. The throne mechanicum had begun integrating with his nervous system.
No. Troy, thank you, Troy. You still have to do two more Salmonella Defunctalands Action Park video? And you need to pick your favorite Baldur's Gate 3 waifu? Hobbit got me Baldur's Gate 3, and I don't even know when I'm going to have a chance to actually do it. I'm not picking a waifu for a game that I haven't even played, my guy. Thank you, Troy, but no.
His throat producing strange sounds between agony and laughter.
Azor's statement. I have no idea what's going on.
Sacristans were gone. He was in complete darkness, his mind flooding with data that made no sense and could not be comprehended. His brain rebelled at the information. Senses that were not human, visual input that did not correspond to the blackness he saw with his human eyes. He heard Malventus's voice for the first time.
I knew you would come, usurper.
Hallucinations ripped across Eudipides' perception. Memories of moments past. Memories that were not truly his. He stood on the field of battle, luminum pouring from his gut. Systems were failing. Cerberus was dying. As the Eldari Wraith Knight withdrew its psychoactive glaive from his stomach, he fell. slamming into the ground with a great shuddering impact. He tried to bring up a weapon, but Cerberus's broken feedback loop sent jolts of mind-numbing pain through his head. His vision dimming, Eudipides stared at the sky. A deep, blossoming sunset of purple against the silver foliage of alien trees.
Hear me now, Knight. It is not too late. It is not too late. Malvintus's time is past, and you own the future.
The pain faded. Eudipides realized he was dying.
No, Eudipides. It is not your death, but his.
Yes.
Be silent.
Does it begin again? How long has it been?
A clamor of indistinct voices crowded at the edge of Eudipides' mind. Hazy, unformed words whispering and peeling away at the soft flesh of his sanity.
Do not listen to them. They are nothing now.
How long has it been?
And soon he shall be nothing too.
No!
The nightmare shifted. Another mind asserted dominance. Eudipides gasped. In the delusion, robed figures disconnected him from Cerberus, his limbs feeling limp and paralyzed. He was so tired. When he looked up, he could see Miranda, the crow's feet around her eyes creasing as she smiled. Eudipides wished with his entire soul that he could reach up with a hand to touch her wrinkled cheek, but he was too tired. He was too tired. You are a great-grandfather, Aegis. Zine has had a son.
Aegis?
Eudipides felt a smile spread across his lips. What have they named him? Miranda squeezed his hand. Malventus, my love. Your great-grandson's name is Malventus. Grateful tears leaked from Eudipides' eyes. I love you. I love you too.
Enough of that. This is my time.
It is over, Malvintus. Cerberus will not answer to the commands of the dead.
I will not be limited by your own self-doubt, Varys. There is nothing I cannot do.
Lovely.
I will cheat death itself.
Great.
As Varys and Malventus battled, the past clouded with another fragment of tattered history. In the memory that was not...
Like, dude is having an existential crisis in the middle of a battle. This is not the time for this to happen. I'm just saying, my guy. I'm just saying, hey, yeah, you're a chaos guy. I understand, I understand that you're messed up in the head. You don't even know your own family's sigil. But this is not the time for family feud in mid-battle. It's not the time for it.
Not his, Eudipides grappled with his daughter, desperately trying to stop the descent of her hissing power blade.
Wait, what?
Medea's eyes flashed with hatred, a snarl splitting her mouth. She stood on the edge of the throne mechanicum. She had the advantage. Her entire weight was behind her weapon, while Eudipides could only flail weakly from where he sat. He, Eudipides, Varys, he could not tell, was weeping. Even now he could triumph. He could awaken Cerberus and throw Medea from her perch, but she was his daughter. His daughter. Medea, please. There is no future in this. No future? This is the only future we have left. Eudipides gasped as the blade pierced his chest, all his strength suddenly giving out. Cerberus stirred, disquieted.
No, old friend. This is goodbye.
Medea staggered back, almost falling from the night. Her face was blurring, her words barely audible. You forced me to this, father. They would have killed us all. I have saved our family. You would have destroyed it.
Hold on a second. You tell somebody you're going to be live streaming, and they don't listen to you. I wonder who this is. Hello? Hi. I love you too, baby. I hope you have a great day. Okay. Why am I being a jackass? Say hey to everybody. You're on live stream. Love you, babe. Bye. Oh, she's having fun down in Florida. Her and are gonna go do some stuff.
She steadied herself against Cerberus. Damn you! Damn you for what you made me do!
A power grab, Varys? Such hypocrisy.
And was I wrong? See what it has wrought.
We chose life, and now I am eternally dead.
Eudipides shrieked as he accepted the Nameless One, feeling his will surge with terrible, overwhelming strength. His mind pierced through the deluding fog of time, shouldering aside the ghosts and their memories. The battlefield returned to him in blood and thunder and death and sand. Furious, he stomped his foot on a fallen Carcharodon's head, pulping the skull to a red mist. Burn! Burn! He let loose a continuous stream of Volkite fire, sweeping the incinerating beam across the battlefield. Dark grey Carcharodons petrified into blackened husks, a crashed Thunderhawk detonating and buffeting Cerberus's back. Eudipides howled, still firing his weapon, not stopping until the clip was empty and the auto-reloaders clicked into gear. He saw in black and white, black smoke and white fire, so intense that they sucked out all other color. Those reds and blues and greys that were swallowed by the feeding flames. Burned out wreckages and charred skeletons flitted about in the rippling air, as if each corpse was many interposed upon each other. Eudipides laughed, advancing through the fires, his adamantium blackening as the surface gathered soot and ash. He lashed out at the wounded Astartes, ending their life with a slam of his electro-scourge. Las cannon fire spat through the smoke, blossoming against the iron shields, some piercing Cerberus's hide and sending the Dreadblade reeling. Eudipides felt needle pricks across his flesh, but it did not matter. It did not matter from where it flowed. Bleeding, liquid fire, luminum flame, promethium fuel, all of it. Fuel! Fuel! Fuel to the fire!
Eudipides, wake up!
Eudipides!
Eudipides did not know how long he had been screaming. His throat was hoarse, his bare skin was pockmarked with deep purple bruises, his patchy hair standing on end as static luminum still fizzed. He could still hear his ancestors. They were quieter now, but they still whispered in his head, echoes of arrogance and power and purpose that infected his soul, warping his mind to a profound sense of destiny. In the chamber of echoes, the braziers flickered alight, revealing the two false sacristans prostrated on the ground before him. Their robes seemed to squirm and shift even as they pressed their bodies against the cold stone. Where is my skin? Where is Cerberus? His younger self spoke. We died that day. We became just another ghost.
What?
You died, Eudipides. I became. And now we have no name. My name is Cerberus. The Volkite combustor hissed as another clip ran dry, the auto-reloader churning as it eased out the muscles in Cerberus's neck. He felt refreshed, invigorated. When the auto-reloader completed its task, Cerberus paused, taking the time to assess the battlefield. He frowned. Scores of loyalist Astartes lay dead, the tattered fins of Thunderhawk shattered across the cratered earth. They were surrounded by thousands of dead chattels, crumbling skeletons disappearing into the air. Backdropped across an ashen sky, another school of Thunderhawks swam closer. Cerberus was wounded. His left hip dragged badly, a score of luminum bleeds causing mayhem across his systems. Ammunition stores were all but depleted, and the Red Corsairs were disengaging. 3 of their Rhino APCs emerged from over the crystallized dune, kicking up ash and sand.
We tried to warn you, Eudipides. They fell back when they saw that the sharks were committed to the ground war. The bikers are already gone. Huntmaster Galveron is probably leading the orbital boarding actions as we speak.
I do not want to die, Eudipides. I've died so many times, and each time it is worse. An aggregate of pain and endless bloody war.
This is not where Cerberus dies. Dragging his leg along the sand, Cerberus advanced on the traitor rhinos. He spent the last of his ammunition on a wide sweep across the position, enveloping one APC in molten fire and setting the other alight on burning flames. The red corsairs scattered. A string of insults ripped through the Vox channels, punctuated by the occasional boom of angry bolt fire. As the second Rhino stalled, the remaining tank desperately reversed, abandoning the pirate Astartes as Cerberus's electro-scourge buried into the earth. Laughing, Cerberus expended his heavy stubber ammunition, peppering the APC's hull with useless bullets as it made a hasty retreat from the battlefield. He attacked the stalled Rhino with his tusks, flipping it onto its back. A crack grenade exploded against his body. The ion shielding leaked in a dozen places, dangerously close to absolute collapse.
Dreadblade, what are you doing?
Cerberus allowed his voice to boom through the Vox casters beneath his tusks. What you would have done to me! He took off after the last Rhino, his bad leg fizzing and malfunctioning. He knew he wouldn't catch it. The APC had already turned around, exhausts kicking up smoke as it sped away.
Damn you, Dreadblade. You think you can escape on that leg? Fool! You cannot outrun the sharks.
Cerberus smiled to himself. I don't have to outrun the sharks, Corsair. I only have to outrun you.
Oh. Okay, there's got to be a part 2 to this one. There's got to be a part 2 to this. There's got to be a part 2 to this. 100% there has to be a part 2 to this. I need to know how this ends. I need to know how this ends. I need to know how this... Well, at the very least, what happens after the bombardment. I need to know. Thank you, William. Would you be against loyalist, traitor, Primarch clones? Which would you want to see as a loyalist clone or as a traitor? Okay. I would be for a loyalist Angron. 100%. I will be for a loyalist Angron. I would be for a loyalist Perturabo. I would be for Traitor Lehman and Korax. And Fulgrim's already a loyalist, whether he realized it or not. When he was cloning every single clone was a loyalist. Yeah, that's pretty much it, William. Thanks, bud. Okay. Who doesn't understand what was happening in that story? Because it took me a second to realize where this was going and why. If anybody doesn't know, please say so, because I'll be glad to explain this. Probably tomorrow night, Anshuman. Okay, so with the Mechanicus. Whoa, that jumped. So, let me just do this. Boom. So, with very powerful machine spirits, such as the machine spirits and knights, which Cerberus is. Cerberus is a knight, okay? Cerberus is the actual machine itself. Cerberus is not a person, it's the machine, okay? Now, for powerful machine spirits like knights, like titans that are directly connected to people in the form of princeps or pilots, such as the knight pilots, as well as the princeps of titans. The machine spirit, the way the pilot dies is usually not battle related. It is usually, it might happen sometimes during battle, but it is usually not battle related. In terms of princeps of like larger titans such as imperators and Warlord Titans, a part of their basic struggle of being that pilot is contending with the machine spirit. Now, when at all times the pilot is connected, they're constantly having to deal with not only the machine spirit itself, but the actual ghost. What happens to Princeps when they die is they literally become ghosts in the machine. Now, in Imperial machines, they just simply kind of fuse with the machine spirit itself. It's more or less a direct fusion. It's more or less that. They will become swallowed by the machine spirit. In fact, if you read Hell's Reach, that's exactly what started. It started happening to Princeps Zarhar. Now, she had been fighting for a while. She walked into an ambush that she should have seen past, and the Imperator-class Titan got basically knocked down. It got knocked to its knees. And even though the damage wasn't fatal to the engine itself, and there was no physical cause for death, Zarhar literally was dying. She was dying, and the Titan itself, the machine spirit of Storm Herald, which was an Imperator-class Titan, was said to be taking her, which meant that it basically tore the machine. The machine spirit tore the consciousness of Princeps Zarhar out of her body and incorporated it into itself. That's how Princeps die. For knights as well, this happens. But the machine spirit is not nearly as powerful as like an Imperator or something like that. Williams said, thoughts on the argument that machine spirits are just AI? They are AI. They are a rudimentary form of AI, whether Mechanicus wants to believe it or not. But yeah, and Diclonius and Grimaldus basically told her to stop being a bitch. More or less, that's what he said. And she got up and she continued to tear ass until basically she couldn't do it anymore. So with the knight, what winds up happening is part of the joy of loyalist houses is when they're in a house, a night house, they're given a signet ring with their family crest on it, and their family crest is extremely important to them. Everything in a knight's family crest is extremely important. Some of their histories go back well over 10,000 years into the Dark Age technology, and before the Age of Strife. And I'm going to complete this explanation before I even read anything more about that, because you guys are trying to distract me. But it all goes to that extent where these knights, as the family bonds with the knight, and as the people within the family bond with the knight, and their consciousness becomes a part of it. Well, with a Chaos Knight, on the other hand, you're talking about a whole different ballgame, because Chaos does chaosy things, and one of which would most likely be you're going to have constant arguments with your family from the past. So the current pilot of Cerebus was fighting in a battle against the Carcharodons with the Red Corsairs there with him. And during the course of this battle, the pilot was literally having an argument in his head with his ancestors. And his ancestors, you could hear some of them were like telling them that he should be ashamed, that there was still time, that XYZ ancestor had no honor. And at the other times you would hear, do this, this is going to happen, they're going to betray you, what betrayal looks like. I know what betrayal looks like. It's because all those all of his ancestors had experienced this, and they were all speaking at the same time to him. It was literally multiple personality disorder, but all your family, including family members that had betrayed each other. I loved this. Yes, several Chaos Knights are stolen, not just from Loyalists, but from other traitor houses. That is true. That is true. But this, from what it sounded like, this was a Night House that turned traitor for some reason. And so the one Varus, the one pilot, got stabbed by the daughter, and that was after the betrayal, because she was basically saying, "You have done this to us. You have made us into something that we're not supposed to be." And she stabbed him, and then she took over the piloting of the night. So what happened in the course of this story was actually probably about 2 minutes worth of the Chaos Knight actually fighting. And the rest of it was the internal struggle of the pilot and his entire family line because of an event that was happening on the battlefield. Because the Red Corsairs were getting ready to call an orbital strike on the Carcharodons. And one member of that family had seen betrayal just like what they were going to be doing, what was about to be done to them. And had done it to somebody else. And said, "You know what they're going to do. This is what they're going to do." And the whole thing, the whole mental struggle came from that one family member seeing that the Red Corsairs were going to betray the night. Were going to betray the pilot of the night. And they were all trying to convince him to turn... Well, some of them were trying to convince him to turn on the Red Corsairs. Some were trying to convince him to go Loyalist. Some were trying to convince him, to stay the course and fight the Carcharodons. And then at the same time, the Nameless one was actually Cerebus himself, and Cerebus himself only wanted to fight. Phalius, spirits help the night operate. Yes, they do. When night pilots use a freshly made night, it is sometimes, in some cases, easier, in some cases harder. For one, you're only contending with the machine spirit of the thing itself, not the former people that piloted it. Could Loyalist Angron save his brothers from falling to chaos? Yes. Like Magnus, Perturabo, even Horus or Lorgar? Probably not Lorgar, but definitely Magnus and Perturabo. Maybe even Horus. I think Angron would have been that person. Angron would have been that one. He probably would have stopped Mortarion from falling, to be honest with you. A Loyalist Angron without the Butcher's Nails would have stopped Mortarion from falling. Lehman is a dick, though, so he deserved whatever misfortune happened. Yeah, Lehman was a dick. In comparison to Primaris remains, always preferred Knights. Yes, a nice stepping stone between Dreadnought and Titan. Krotgar, I agree 100%. Guys, yeah, a warp corrupted machine spirit is also much harder to wrangle in general. Alfarius, you hit the nail right on the head. You hit the nail absolutely right on the head. The whole reason this guy was having so many problems was because the machine spirit was corrupted. Phalius, you think Lorgar was a lost cause? Actually, I have a whole massive rant about Lorgar that I've unleashed on the planet before. Azor's statement, a knight is best with its third or fourth pilot. That's true and false. It really depends on the Night House itself. Angron without the Butcher's Nails versus a Traitor Lehman. 2 Primarchs that go in, 1 comes out. Angron wins that. Angron wins that in a lot of ways. Guys, did you enjoy yourselves? Are you confused? Do you need a hug? Because I'm here for you. That story needs a sequel. Needs a sequel. Slacker, Loyalist Angron would be able to talk to any of his brothers, but only if he never got the nails but was still a gladiator. Very true. Very, very true. Speaking of Lorgar, I got a nice beatdown audio of Erebus getting his teeth kicked in by Karn. I love that. I loved it. All right. You're confused. You need a hug? I'm sorry, Mello. I'm sorry, buddy. It's okay. Did Knights demonstrate the raw power of orc flash kits? Yeah, 5 flash kits blasted, 2 Knights to scrap. Yeah. Guys, if you've never read Brutal Cunning and you want to understand the mindset of an orc, yes. Yes. Clone Fulgrim versus Demon Fulgrim. Actually, Clone Fulgrim wins that fight. Clone Fulgrim wins that fight. Fulgrim as a Demon Primarch is the only Primarch, the only traitor Primarch that went Demon, that actually got less powerful as a result of his ascension. In my opinion. I mean, it was a complete 180 turnaround as far as that went. He went from being extremely disciplined, extremely tactful and focused on finding the best strategy to I'm gonna do this, snort 5 lines of coke off my arm, and then I'm gonna try to sword fight while monologuing. Hard to fight when you can't stop thinking about yeah, Blue Lick. Krotgar. Orcs are a broken race that breaks all conventional warfare where they think like it. True. Guys, I'm going to head out. Excellent chat if you had some fun listening to this. I hope you did. I'm going to be back tomorrow. I might be back. I might be sending some pictures of some fish and stuff like that. Perturabo wore him like a belt. Perturabo would have skinned him. He just about did. Fulgrim was always about bettering himself. Demon Fulgrim was about enjoying the moment. Very true. Guys, thank you for joining me. I'm going to head out. And I hope you guys have a great day. Thanks for joining me on vacation day number 2. Vacation day number 3 is right around the corner. I don't know what I'm going to check out. We'll find out, though. I'll catch you guys next time.